Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Wednesday, August 8th. The Boomsday Project happened. I guess that's pretty much all I can say about it that's positive. I said Monday that I was going to take Tuesday off. I had made plans that were not YouTube related. That's not something I do, but maybe once a year. And Hearthstone did not choose to oblige. So, yeah, the Boomsday Project happened. Nobody really made it obvious that it was going to happen on a Tuesday. I thought expansions came out on Thursdays. Seems like the previous expansions have. We opened less than 100 packs per account. It was about 80 packs because we were short on gold, which makes me feel like this expansion is coming earlier than normal. And I tried to do deck rebuilds, and they didn't really work. Like, for all the Boomsday cards that I got, none of them really do too much. There's like one or two cards in every category that might have expanded on the idea. Or improved on existing decks, but there's no great new concept here. They have a lot of mechs, replacing mechs that have long since gone into wild from Goblins vs. Gnomes. Yes, they have 10 magnetic cards, basically, which isn't enough to really build a magnetic mech deck and have that synergize as a crazy powerful concept. And then there's some death rattle cards that kind of work with maybe the hunter, and that's kind of it. And so when I had gotten back from what I had planned on doing yesterday, after doing the 150 card pack opening, I started doing deck rebuilds, and I streamed for a long time in the middle of the night doing deck rebuilds, and I was sleepy certainly, and it was just not good content, frankly, in my opinion. But honestly, I don't feel any different now having slept. I don't think you can really make a new deck with these cards. And so I just went on to hsreplay.net, which is what I was going to do anyways. And with the exception of this Murloc deck, each one of these is a named deck from HS Replay. Now, how I used HS Replay is I told it I had a certain amount of dust and looked for like the best thing that I could possibly get, which I believe at this point is Zoo Warlock, which boy do I not want to play Zoo Warlock all the time. And before it was Spiteful Priest, which we'll keep that. And then what I did is I said, for each character class, what is the cheapest deck I can build? The one that would require the least amount of dust. And I would do that by saying what requires no dust, what requires 100 dust, and just click up the filter on the left side of HS Replay until some deck appears, and then I would use that deck. Unfortunately, what this all turned into is that while in name these look like HS Replay decks, in spirit they've had some changes made to them, certainly. Like this Mech Paladin, there was definitely some cards here that were blue that I just said I'll click on these and I'll see if I can craft them. If they're like this, if they're a common card, I'll use dust on them, or if they're a rare card like this, I can craft them for 100 dust. But if they're an epic card, that would be 400 dust, and I was not willing to spend 400 dust on any of these cards. And so then I would just click it like that, and then and then replace it with something else. And so these are modified versions of those decks. Which inherently that then moves us to where we are now. I have 2,235 dust, and I want to make a classic card that I'm missing. I want to get that classic completion. I'm on the Americas account, by the way. I've realized that I've been doing this all wrong. By far, the vast majority of my fans are playing on the Americas account. I should start every stream going forward on the Americas account. It's kind of stupidly obvious that I should have done that. That way, if people want to friend me, if people want to challenge me, if people want to play me, we can have that happen more often than not. Because there's been too many incidences, and it's only been about 3, maybe 4, maybe 5 over the course of the past year, where people have asked to play one-on-one. I've said, sure, but you're gonna have to wait, and then they don't wait. So yeah, I think I want Illidan Storm Rage, unless there was something here that made a better argument. Yeah, let's just get this guy. So
Brotherhood shall prevail.
That is that. And I don't have enough dust to craft these 3 remaining things. So for the classic set, potentially 150 more decks need to be opened in classic cards, or 4,200 dust needs to be spent to craft these. To just get the classic deck done. Alright. So now I'm just looking at all standard cards. I want to see if there's anything I can craft. A lot of epics certainly still missing, but I'm looking for any blues or any white cards, because there might have been some commons or uncommon cards. I probably should create a second one of these, if anything, if it comes down to crafting something like that. Of course, even if I do craft the cards, I would have to know where the cards go. Now, on the European account, I've chosen a slightly different route to use the dust. I had so many cards missing to make the HS replay cards for those decks that I was using. I think I had about 5,000 dust on both the European account and the Asian account. So I was creating cards specifically recommended by those successful decks, which then theoretically means I'm having a bit more of a guided experience in creating cards instead of doing on my main account, which is what I'm doing here, which is just kind of bouncing around and trying to own everything and have a wide variety of a collection. It's unlikely that I would get to the point where I have a complete collection on the European and Asian accounts. So I'm more guided and more likely to be done. See, I'm now too short to make that card. Is, I suppose, ideal. So if I go here, I might as well just type in the key phrase common after that. Yeah, so we have all the common cards already made. And next is rare. There is actually no category called uncommon. That is just rare. So as far as wild cards, slowly I can go down this process and try and get all these cards made, or I could just sit on my dust and set and save it for later. Let's see. This is a wild card. Are you sure? See, even they are warning you. 10 pages of rares missing in wild. But if I look at just everything that's missing, still, as I'd love to have a complete collection, it's 53 pages. So quite a lot. Quite a lot of stuff still. But in general, I guess we got everything done. And so we just need to this has been a long setup, frankly. I need to just play Murloc cards. I got the secondary daily quest that I was supposed to do done while doing deck builds. Alright, a classic pack. So if I get this classic pack and I get a legendary, that would be amazing. Party is here. Work together with another player to decorate the tavern and kick off the New Year's party. Which... this is confusing because didn't the year in Hearthstone, quote unquote, happen a few months ago? Closer to the Chinese New Year.
I must protect the wild.
If this is some kind of calendar year New Year that they're talking about, that's weird. And it's also weird that it's in no way close to the Gregorian calendar's New Year. I mean, this is August, not December, not January 1st. So they just gave me some cards. Unlikely. Creates 1 decoration for the tavern. Progression 0 of 25. Okay, so apparently we're just gonna do this, or we're gonna kill each other. And I assume this decoration might unlock a new board, because I was certainly noticing that that was the case. Let's see, you can't control how this minion attacks. I have a party crasher.
Job's done.
Create 0 decorations for the tavern. I don't understand. This seems like it says it will create 0 decorations for the party tavern. I don't understand what's going on here.
Gadgets and Gazette always gets the scoop.
So these guys are like the chess pieces. They just attack directly forward, it seems. So I'm assuming what the issue here is the party crashers will cause you to suffer too much. If I could play this would be nice. This is a weird strategy, certainly. Let's start getting into the news, though. YouTube decided to, in its Creator on the Rise program, promote a video gamer. This is the first time in my not really following the Creator on the Rise program, even though it was something that I was at least one person who suggested it to them to do. I cannot get the other. There it is. Get the other Chrome browser to pop up. So they promoted a gamer who talks about how the biology of monsters could be real in video games. It's kind of a more unique concept than I would have thought that they would have done. This one will create one decoration, and just going in the turn. But I would say that the creator, he has like 32,000 subscribers, so that's not an incredibly small amount. It's a lot more than my 260 or so. I did get a new subscriber in the past couple days. I've gotten several, so the expansions on Hearthstone still seem to be worth doing. But yeah, it is also, but he's gotten like 2 million views, and it does seem kind of odd. Create 7 decorations.
So many options.
This thing just keeps changing. I guess it's just based on the amount of mana you have. Ah, okay. So, I get it now.
I want answers.
This piggy's going to market.
There we go. So it seems like we're going to always have one party crasher on the field.
Side effects.
So let's I think I can just keep this going now. Yeah, man, I guess I'm moving a little slow today. After staying up so late, that's not really a big surprise. Let's start talking about the news. Alright. 8. That gets us a lot further.
I want answers.
Kill that one. And then in the turn. Let's see if this game is in English or not. Nope, English not supported for this simplified Chinese visual novel looking. It says it's an adventure RPG game. So, yeah, it's like an RPG Maker game with the bare minimum of 5 screenshots on it and no video, which is, honestly, they should require a video on every game. Let's see.
I wonder.
I could add 9. Let's see. If I played this, it wouldn't.
So many options.
And
This piggy's going to market.
And there we go. So So somebody made some fake Hearthstone cards for the Boomsday expansion, and Hearthstone retreated them. One of them is a 0 mana 5/1 beast minion called Bojack Horseman. It says your minions can't attack because they hate you, everyone hates you. I haven't watched the Bojack Horseman Adult Swim cartoon, but I think I generally get the idea of what it's about. Let's see.
Side effects? No. Trust me.
Let's go with...
I want answers.
I guess we can do this. We can do this. So, like, he's at over 25 now, and I'm over 25, so good. Hero power, deal 3 damage to the pinata. Boss, taunt. Can't be targeted by spell, is full of candy. Well, it seems like if I had a silence minion, which they probably didn't give me any silence minions, that I could probably take this guy on.
My hand is too full.
Let's see. Destroy a random party crash for each player. It draws a card. There we go. And okay. Let's go ahead and attack this, and let's go ahead and let's see, what can we do? This and this, and then end the turn. What was that he just did? He just did a bunch of damage to everything.
Golems are a girl's best friend.
See, he's playing a Jade Golem strategy. Probably still better to do things like this than it is to deal with another race using this. Yeah, this is not a great Tavern Brawl because it's just incredibly slow. The next card that he made up was a 5 mana, 4 attack, 5 health legendary minion called Trevor Bellmount. Battle Cry, just completely wreck all demons. Like, these cards of course are not realistic. Next is a 2 mana, 2 attack, 2 health demon called Lucy, L-U-C-Y. It's some kind of black character that I don't recognize it from. I don't know if it's supposed to be the devil from some kind of cartoon that I just don't recognize or not. It's weird looking, and there's no reference here. There's a death rattle, peer pressure both players, and they're doing something terrible. And let's see, what was the fourth one? Fourth one is a 11 mana spell called Black Mirror. in the game, throw your electronics in the trash. And it's one of the episodes from Black Mirror that was very heavily promoting, like, not being obsessed about technology.
So many options.
Let's see. I kind of want to do this first. And play that, sure. I guess play that. Let's go ahead and play that right there. And then end the turn. See, sometimes it's not doing the explosion.
Where's my cat? Where's my cat?
So yeah, I think I may have this, but it comes down to really, like, this comes down to how this is all gonna work. Let's see, play this. Let's buffer, I guess, this one. And then we can play this, and then play this, and then heal ourselves.
I'm gonna downsize.
So he's down to 1. So there's really no reason why he shouldn't win there. And this should just be the end of the tavern brawl. Boy, haven't been talking much. This is too weird of a tavern brawl, frankly. It's too long. Good thing I don't have a bunch of daily things that daily quests to do. Alright, PC Gamer has a review of the game Overload. They give it a 75 out of 100. Alright, victory. Well, boy, would I never want to do that again. And that didn't seem like it said it was going to give you a new playfield or anything, so I guess the new playfield will probably just come in an update. There is also supposed to be a new single player expansion that I think is going to come a week later. So we know, since we only have a few cards, that that's going to turn into 150 dust, so just disenchant all of that. And that's good and all, but that really would only help me get like 1 rare wild card, so I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna save up my dust, save up to get the last few legendaries, and then move on. I need to play Murloc games, so Murloc cards first, so let's get there. Let's see. Is there the verdict from PC Gamer is Overload is beautiful combat, livens up Overload's tedious levels. I believe Overload is being sold, at least, or advertised at least by some people, as a spiritual successor to the game Descent, which was this 3D flying around in a spaceship game. Early PC game for 3D graphics. It caused a lot of motion sickness, and I know I tried to play it for like a second or two, and I was just like, this is just confusion and motion sickness. I don't want any more of that. Alright, let's see, we've got a game on Steam called Ascending Madness that's in early access. And using early access tag twice, again, see, I guess the difference here is whether or not they're spelling access with 2 or 1 S's at the end. That seems weird. I guess it's spelled both ways in some languages. Ascending Madness looks like it's a top-down twin-stick shooter where you're in this kind of hover. Well, it also is kind of a platformer because you're in this hover vehicle of sorts that that you have to use thrusting to keep you up in the middle of the screen. Graphics don't look completely awful, but it also doesn't look like an interesting gameplay mechanic to me. It's $9.99, and yeah, I'm not really gonna talk about it too much. In fact, like, I'm going slow, and this probably needs to be a shorter stream anyways. I just need a break. I need to take the rest of today off. Getting back to Layers of Fear maybe later tonight. That might be something that I try to do, but I wouldn't be surprised if it isn't. Next game we have on Steam is called Daytona Racing. This is the yet another clone of a top-down arcadey racing game. This one looks like it's probably a cell phone port. The graphics don't look that good. I've seen better versions of this idea already in the past year released. It's 40% off for 59 cents, and because of the fact that I've seen better already, I have no interest in getting the same thing. The top-down racing arcade games suffer from 2 major things. One, none of them can really do anything new. You can add more tracks, you can try and add some more gameplay mechanics, but none of them do any of that. And 2, the only reason why that game is even memorable is because when it was the arcade version, the original top-down arcade racing game, which I think was called something like Daytona 500 or something like that, the only reason that was memorable is because that arcade had a steering wheel on it and a gas pedal on it, and you were standing up moving the steering wheel, not sitting down, not something like the cruising arcade games where you were in a full-on car when you could be in automatic and manual shifting and accelerating and braking. But the cruising series of arcade games came out a lot later too. But that's really the only reason it's memorable. And that's a nostalgia that most kids won't have because they will never seen the game or the original arcade. I got lucky there. Gamma Sutra has an article, game sales and revenue down at Bandai Namco. Let's see, according to the company's let's see, the drop-off can be attributed to dwindling game sales, with worldwide sales clocking in at 4.03 million units this quarter compared to 5.62 million units quarter 1 of 2018. The downward shift resulted in home video games revenue falling by 16.5 billion yen, or 148.4 million US dollars. So yeah, this last quarter, a lot of games didn't come out. Instead, a lot of games got announced at E3, Maybe not even that many. Bandai Namco in particular, if I was to, let's do a little research and waste time here. If I was to look at Bandai Namco's Wikipedia article and then see if I can find a list of their games, I'm pretty sure they're mostly going to come down to a lot of Japanese and anime style games that don't really translate to sales right about now. Mega Fin will be a 5 mana card, so we can go ahead and play that. Let's see, yeah. Mobile Seeds, Pac-Man, Dot Hack, Digimon, lots of Gundam, Tamagotchis. I'm scrolling chronologically here through it. Dinosaur Warriors. The latest Warriors game certainly didn't succeed. Dragon Ball Budokai, Naruto. You know what, it's not even really worth looking at their old games from 10 years ago. Let's just look at games from the end of the list. They have Jump Force, Twin Mirror coming out, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Bandai Namco is making that game? Why is Nintendo not making that game? Maybe they're doing something. They have something called 1111 Memories Retold, Soul Calibur 6, One Piece World Seeker, My Hero Academia 1's Justice, which I don't think My Hero Academia has translated to Western popularity yet, if it ever is. Divinity Original Sin, Black Clover, God Eater 3, Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet, My Tamagotchi Forever, Dragon Ball Z X Keepers, Naruto X Boruto, Ninja Voltage, 7 Deadly Sins, Knights of Britannia. A lot of these games I don't think are out yet. Record of the Grand Quest War, Dragon Ball Legends. These are all just games listed to come out in 2018. Gintami Rumble, Code Vein, I know that's not out, it's 2019. Dragon Ball Fighters, that should have been their big success, but looking at their list here, yeah, Bandai Namco hasn't really released anything else that even stood a good chance of succeeding. Most of these are based on anime licenses that will always going to be a niche audience. Let's see, let's play this. And then let's play this. Let's play this. Yeah. So no surprise that they're going down. Bandai Namco should have probably 5 years ago established some Western office somewhere to do at least one Western style game. Like, I guess you could argue that that's not the culture of their company, but they've just got so many eggs in one basket that that's just not a smart way to do business in the worldwide video game industry. Look at Nintendo as a comparison. Nintendo's got Bayonetta games coming out, they got Mario games, they got Zelda games, they got Metroid games, and for every game style that they don't want to touch or that they're not developing, they've got at least a dozen of at least a dozen other people who are willing to put out their games onto the Switch, like Binding of Isaac, for example, is a great example. Nintendo would never make a game like Binding of Isaac, but they're more than willing these days to let it be on the Switch. Moving on, we have a game on the Steam called The Call. This is an asset flip. Immediately. This is an unturned asset flip, which we haven't seen that in a while. Yep. The Roblox unturned asset flips haven't been coming out for a while. Also, RPG games haven't been coming out. I think it's almost 100%. Anyways, The Call is 99 cents. I think what happened is all of the cheap, low-effort developers that were making RPG Maker games saw or took it to understand that that Steam's, let's call it, minimal amount of censorship policy, they saw that as a free reign to just make games that would sell on sex. And so instead of spending a little bit of effort to make an RPG Maker game, they've now just shifted completely, because it was like a floodgate. Like 1 week, all RPG Maker games stopped coming out, and a ton of stupid Hinta puzzles, or like do Sudoku with an anime girl on the side of the screen type games just started happening. Alright. This. And then this. And then this. And that will let me kill this one easily. And that one easily.
Job's done.
And the turn. Next game we have on Steam is called Captain Training. It seems like it's a space resource, a 4X style game. It looks really, really bad though. And I'm not sure I'd ever want to play it. Oh, and English. English is not supported as a language. It's 30% off for $2.09. And it's a Chinese game. So, moving on.
Flames consume you.
Now there is more than a handful of slightly controversial topics, and one of which I've already held off till the end of the stream because I just am not awake enough to I think give a fair statement on it. Right. If I play this, it's 9. That's 19, that's 27. Let's go ahead and play this. Eurogamer has an article here. The game industry needs unions, so immediately you're in your title, you're editorializing, which is bad video game journalism. And we will certainly get into bad video game journalism a little bit later when we talk about IGN having a on-staff reporter caught plagiarizing from a YouTuber. Actually, we could probably talk about that story right now as I switch over to the European account, because there's really nothing other to say than that sentence. IGN was caught having a staffer plagiarize. No, that's not the right way to phrase that. That makes it sound like IGN that I know for sure IGN knew he was plagiarizing. It seems like that's not the case from the outside. IGN, a IGN staffer was caught plagiarizing. He took a video review and basically in some sections, word for word, said the exact same thing, copied what a YouTube channel had said about the review for Dead Cells. IGN, to their credit, got to it very quickly. I'll go ahead and show the decks I got from HS Replay on the European account while we're here. They took down the article in, I would say, a really decent amount of time, less than, I think, 12 hours, and started investigating, and in, I think, less than 18 hours they fired the guy. And theoretically, in any journalism, plagiarizing should be a career ender, although Giant Bomb didn't even want to talk about this. And see, this is going to get into more of the rant of how corrupt and lacking in journalistic ethics people are in the video game industry. Is that they always want to cover their own butts. They always want to have a excuse or be excused for bad behavior. And so they didn't even want to, on Giant Bomb, they didn't even really want to talk about it, but they knew they had to talk about it. And they said, well, this is almost a career ender. No, plagiarism is a career ender. If there is one thing that is a career ender, and there should be many things that are career enders in journalism, plagiarizing is that. And frankly, it should be a career ender in any job field. Like, if you're stealing somebody else's work, and you're, particularly when your industry is nothing but your work, which is most industries, that is it. Now, I haven't been plagiarized, nor have I, to my knowledge, maybe in kindergarten I copied somebody's paper, but I don't think I ever even did that because I never cared about my grades. But I certainly have been in situations where I have heavily suspected, if not downright known, that coworkers were claiming to have done things that I had done. In one particular situation, I'm fairly certain that someone was claiming to do the work that I was doing because that person was not doing any work at all. Like, I was very much just about to report him when my time there ended, probably because of lies of this employee. So I imagine what was happening in the background, and I'll never really know, is that he was claiming he was doing all the work and I was doing none of it, and he had built up enough of a repertoire to trick his manager into believing that. And it's just unethical, always. It should be a career ender. It is incredibly crazy and incredibly stupid. And Giant Bomb did try to go, well, maybe, I can't even, they were saying, I can't even understand it. I can't even understand it. It's like, you don't need to understand it. Somebody did something wrong. It's just that you just need to condemn it, and they really didn't want to condemn it. So that's Giant Bomb's take on it. There's a lot of issues, I imagine, that if I were to just go and look up IGN controversies, let's see. Let's just see what they are, because IGN, I'm pretty sure IGN is, let's see, IGN has always been, I think, a little too close to the industry. Let's major shaman victory is what I need. Oh, you know what? Actually, I need to do the tavern brawl first. Let's hop in here. Let's see. IGN staff walkout after former employer's sexual harassment by Kotaku. IGN's praise score is why video game reviews need to end Forbes. What's wrong with IGN from August 25th on Reddit. Let's see what that article is. I've got so many tabs open. There you go. This will be how you get to the man on the street response. So r/true gaming. What's wrong with IGN? Question mark. Everybody seems to hate them, but they seem fine to me. Reasons why.
My agreed.
Edited. Let's see. The first response from 4 years ago. So here's 4 years ago reasons why people had problems with IGN. And so this response is, I'll take a crack at it. I personally don't care for IGN. Please remember that reading this as an opinion and somewhat biased as a result. IGN used to have decent content on a daily basis. As the years went on, they slowly started to degrade that level of content until we ended up with articles with the following
Side effects. Trust me.
With articles such as the following examples. Article number 1, fake or gay. Article number 2, 5 innovations Call of Duty gave the world. Article number 3, Under Siege low score due to being hard. Article number 4, IGN reviewed God's Hands and gave it a poor review for being difficult. Article 5, this was epic for the win. Makes me cringe, which happens a lot during their videos. Article, I guess maybe that was a video. Article number
Well played.
6 is IGN's review of Dead Space 2 is poorly written. IGN's reviewing JRPG Rydo hasn't played more than an hour of JRPGs. And article number 8 is I Am Alive 4.5 out of 10. I don't remember the game I Am Alive. Alright, next part of this says, if those aren't enough to make you absolutely sick of IGN, how about you go back through the years and think about the controversies involving IGN. People have always been skeptical about IGN's reviews, but within the last few years there have been leaks that have revealed many scores for games were essentially purchased by the companies. Now, I suppose it's worth pointing out
Well played.
that the IGN is not Game Informer and is not owned by CBS. So this, when Giant Bomb is trying to protect IGN, it's not because they even have a business interest other than they just want to protect everybody in the industry and they're all way too friendly with each other. It's similar in the way where CNN, particularly these days, is very, very concerned when any news media is attacked physically or verbally, but basically doesn't care about any other kind of person. News reporters, and in this instance video game journalists specifically, want to be this elevated, protected class of people that they just do not deserve to be. And there's no reason why they would be a protected class of people. Let's see. I'm just gonna hold off for one more turn. Let's see. There's a Zelda Informer article being referenced here. Former IGN employee admits review scores are skewed. Then the next paragraph says, if that wasn't enough, IGN has in the past rushed through games and rates products without completing them. Most recent example is Pixel Junk, which resulted in IGN stealth editing their article. This was captured in many Twitter conversations in which the writer was called out, which resulted in him editing the review. So, when writing an article, you are supposed to mention that you edited it. If you're not mentioning that you edited the article, then you're that's an interesting phrase, I suppose, stealth editing the review to hide your screw-ups, I suppose. And I could probably kill this guy, but I don't want to. But I need to kill these guys pretty quickly. When it comes down to on Reddit and many other places, IGN is simply known for stealing content from other services, removing watermarks, mass advertising, and generally douchebaggery. So remember, this is a Reddit post that I'm looking at from 4 years ago. And IGN is yesterday having an employee accused of stealing content. If you consider many Redditors' stance on sites such as 9gag, I feel it's easy to come to the conclusion many have come to too. Additional content theft examples are, there's a link here for stealing from Game Banshee, stealing from a DeviantArt user, stealing content from an indie game creator and making money off of it, and stealing content from Gearspedia. So this is like strike 5. Like, as far as IGN as an entity having a bad name that is they've earned.
Well played.
Okay.
I want answers.
Let's see.
This might sting. This might sting.
There you go. Next paragraph on this comment. This is a long comment. It's almost done. There are many more examples of these. Their Facebook commonly post images where they add the IGN watermark to images taken from DeviantArt, Reddit, and other places, which effectively means that they are claiming copyright on something they do not have copyright on. And I think I've even noticed that there's if you do image searches every now and then, you'll see, hey, here's a picture from one source and the exact same picture with an IGN watermark, but it hasn't been cropped out, so this picture that doesn't have the watermark had to have been the original, and thus they watermarked something they didn't own. The next paragraph says, Reddit and other communities of people just plain dislike companies who steal content that is original from other sources, fake review scores, and put lower quality content and overall function more as a marketing machine than an actual game site. There are some pieces of good content on IGN. Sadly, I can't think of any examples in the last few years, which is why personally this person has moved to Giant Bomb, Game Informer, Eurogamer, Rock Paper Shotgun, and our games. And in the 4 years' time, Giant Bomb has turned to garbage. Game Informer, I don't really follow, but I don't think it's very good. Eurogamer is alright, but it certainly is very biased. And our games, I I don't know if it's really much of a news source that I can quote, because it's just random people, and I just can't inherently trust that random people are going to be able to do this. I wonder what would happen if we just had the pinata full. If I had my side full of things and he had his side full of things, then maybe would the pinata? I'm pretty sure the pinata. I'm probably mispronouncing that sometimes. It probably would destroy something like the rightmost minion.
Side effects? No.
Let's see what happens actually.
Trust me.
Play this, and I'll play the next one after I've minion. So I need to do 5. So I can't do that. I could do this though.
Thank you.
Well, that should have been it. That should have been it, I think. Okay, so yeah. So there's IGN controversies in a nutshell. Like that was a small bit of investigative journalism I just did there very poorly and not paying a lot of attention. That is generally why I probably wouldn't get a job as an investigative journalist. Just because I'd have to spend way too much work on it and make sure I get all the facts straight. What did he do to clear the entire field?
Spectacular.
He like killed everything on that side. This one's immune to spells. Okay. Well, let's do this.
For the horde.
This one's gonna die anyways.
I want
Well played.
answers.
Careful.
Let's do this. Do this.
Well played.
And let's do that. That way there's one room for him to switch, because I don't want him to move over and kill everybody on my side like he apparently did on their side. Although maybe he just did 2 damage to everybody. So that was, like, I guess the story that needed to be covered before we get to this Eurogamer story. The game industry needs unions, and again, editorializing, and these are the people trying to make it happen in the UK. Meet the activists behind Game Workers Unite UK. Inherently, this is kind of a internal thing, and there are some weird things there as far as, are the people who are trying to make a union, do they actually represent the will and intent of the employees, or is this more of an instance where perhaps the video game industry themselves is trying to muddy the issue and have a union that would be favorable to them formed compared to a unfavorable union. Because there's most definitely have been scenarios where a union gets formed and then intentionally by design is super ineffective and super not pushing for anything more. The main things unions want changed are, in very general speak, is working conditions and pay. If a union only is focusing on working conditions and not pay, you're probably not satisfying serving the union members right. If you're only interested in increasing pay and not working conditions, well, you've created a terrible situation there, because you could be in a factory somewhere where it's incredibly dangerous and people are dying, but heck, everybody's getting paid a lot. That's not doing a good job either. But on the other hand, if it's a super safe factory, but everybody's getting paid minimum wage and is on food stamps and can't afford to feed themselves, that's not a good situation either. For the video game industry, working conditions are a weird one, certainly, because what it kind of is going to have to break down into is let's see, how would you say this? There needs to be more professionalism in the video game industry, in my opinion. I would say there needs to be more professionalism in a lot of industries, certainly, but the video game industry is definitely one of them. Let's see. I'm gonna play this and then see if I can play this again. Not right now, I can't. Well, in the turn. They also, I guess, more than professionalism, which needs to be on both sides, both the management and the associates, the union members. They need job security. Like, that's the number one thing. So any group trying to make a union in the video game industry, if they're not saying we need to be guaranteed to not be fired when the project ends, that's the number one thing. Or there's things called job pools that unions sometimes do, where you pay to have somebody trained and they're the first one to be hired as soon as more work happens. So it becomes this co-op between potentially even different video game companies, where programmers are going to work every day and getting trained on being better programmers, and as soon as they need a programmer to make work on a game, they
I want answers.
they get hired back on. That's certainly what they did in, like, car manufacturing. Sometimes they succeeded with that. But my fear is what the other story that I haven't talked about yet is just a over perception, or a false, I guess over perception is the wrong one. My fear is that there is literally a false perception of sexual harassment and just bias of sorts. The SJW stuff. and they're going to try and make a union that is only concerned about covering the SJW stuff, which some of that is legitimate, yeah, and some of it there's federal laws. This is a UK article, but that if you can prove it, which it's always hard to prove, you should stop hiring practices that are unethical, that are favoring one group over another. But a lot of it is just people like the ArenaNet writer, who she never stopped talking, by the way. I just stopped covering her, and most people just stopped covering her. Even the video game industry has given up trying to give her an excuse, because she's still going on tirade. She's still saying that she was wrongly fired for being rude to a person on Twitter, a fan. So yeah, that's my fear. I'm gonna leave this article for other people to read, frankly, because there's kind of nothing here. Like, if the union gets formed, then the time is to start to report on it. The way Eurogamer is writing this now, they're basically making a political post. That it would be similar to if somebody put a post out endorsing a political candidate. Like, there's a very decent chance that this union will never get off the field. I think that a lot of people would have to get together and have a conversation, and it's going to be a real struggle, and I'm not sure that video game developers are on the same page to have that struggle and even know what they really want. And until they do, that's where I think it's going to stay. Alright, it's been an hour and 15 minutes. And there's still a ton of news. Not really a ton of things to do, though. We just... The Tavern Brawl, in particular, just took forever. So that's where I'm going to end this recording. Stay tuned if you're watching live. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.